Hello YouTube and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be talking about when you're simply not feeling it. Sometimes these things happen and there's nothing you can do to avoid them. Life goes on and you feel things and sometimes you just can't get in the right mindset. This has happened to me over and over again and it's really frustrating when it does, and I am here to share some ideas, maybe some helpful things to think about when you get yourself in that position so that it doesn't destroy your night. As musicians, we spend so much time practicing, honing our craft, and getting ourselves to play at a very, very high level. And when we're in our home environment, in a safe spot, like a practice room, something like that, we tend to be very comfortable and we are expressive. Typically that's where we sound our best. And when you step out onto the bandstand, having that track record is kind of hard. But sometimes it's even harder than other times. Sometimes I struggle to play well. Sometimes I get in my own head. Sometimes I'm worrying too much. Sometimes I'm overthinking every note I play, and I'm not even enjoying the music at a certain point. I'm just surviving. And really, when you're playing, that's not a place you want to be. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it kind of defeats the purpose of playing music. So what are some things that we can keep in mind to help us get out of this headspace? I like to practice letting go, just being okay with just being where I am, just taking a deep breath and sighing and letting it all out. The problems that we face in our day-to-day lives are often unavoidable, and that's just the nature of life. So when you have a big problem, like your girlfriend just dumped you, or somebody at work is giving you trouble, or anything, everything comes after the music. You've chosen to be there. You've chosen to be a part of the music. Even if you don't like the gig, you still said yes to the gig. Nobody made you be there. You just chose to be there. So you kind of owe it to the musicians around you to play your best, or at least bring your best. And sometimes your best is not as good as you have been, but you can take steps to bring yourself into your current environment and be engaged in your present reality, because those problems are waiting for you back at home. They're waiting for you with somebody else. Whatever your issue may be. Maybe you're struggling with depression. All of these are serious things, but when you choose to be there on the bandstand, you choose to be there on the bandstand. And you may actually find some new hope after playing a gig with that attitude in mind. There's something extraordinarily healing about music. And if you fight it the whole way, it's going to fight back. Music is not something that you can control. It's something that you can channel. And if your channels are all muddied up and you're blocked off and you're not letting anything in, there's no way that you're going to let music heal you. There's no way that you're going to feel the positive effects of music in the growth from it. So another thing that you can try is diving into that madness that you're feeling, letting the music wash over those wounds, letting it hurt. Sometimes you don't know where the hurt's coming from. Sometimes you can't figure it out. Sometimes you don't know what's going on. You're just off and it sucks. Just live in it. Just embody it, embrace it, and let that feed your music, because it's going to have something raw. There have been some times where I just said, you know what? Screw it. If I sound awful tonight, I'm just going to embrace it and just be out there. And some people, strangely enough, come up to me afterwards and say, "Hey man, you sounded great. That was awesome. Yeah." And I'm like scratching my head like, "What the heck? No, that was awful. That was like my worst playing ever." But they don't know that. Maybe you're just trying some new hip stuff that they've never heard before. And that's the reality, is nobody actually knows what's going on in your head. Nobody knows. So you when you obsess over everything, you're actually bringing that into the physical world, and it's affecting the way that people perceive your music. Your confidence, your air, whatever, however you hold yourself, really has an impact on the way people perceive your music. If your shoulders are slumped and you're just and every time you play a phrase you don't like, you take the horn out of your mouth, or you stop playing and you just, oh gosh, and you wince at what you do. People pick up on that. They notice that kind of thing, and it's not making the music more enjoyable. You could have the worst day, but if you could put a smile on your face when you're performing, the music all of a sudden, to the listener, to the perception of your music is better, is warmer. People, when people smile, it warms our hearts. It takes our walls down. So, sure, it's really hard to do. It's really hard to do, and I struggle with it. When you're not feeling it, when you're having a bad day, it's really, really hard to take a deep breath. And that's why I recommend meditating. Meditating is very important. And I'm not saying like you have to become a monk. I'm not saying that you have to meditate for 2 hours a day or do anything serious. But meditating is, to me, as far as it applies to music, is really just about learning to let go. Professional golfers, when they miss a putt, they have to have a really, really short-term memory. They have to be able to reset and re-engage with the same focus they had before they missed their shot. Because in a pro setting like that, if you get into your own head, you are going to miss the next shot and then the next shot, and it becomes this black hole that sucks you in. So you need to make sure that you can let go of playing wrong notes. And sometimes I like doing that by just giving myself permission to sound like crap, just sounding awful. Like even on a gig, or if you want a safer environment, you can go to a jam session with your friends and just sound awful on purpose, so that you remember that it's okay to suck. It's okay to sound bad. It's not the end of the world. So when you find yourself in a place where you're just not feeling it, remember that it's okay to sound bad. Besides, the journey through music is not a linear path. It has its ups and downs. It's challenging. It'll make you want to tear your hair out, and then other days it'll make you feel like you're in ecstasy. Music is such an enigmatic force, and there's no way that we have any real control over it. Like, we really don't actually have that much control over our lives. I always feel like music is just a metaphor for life, and the more comfortable with yourself you can become, the more okay the more okay you are with just being in a bad mood, the easier it will be for you to just take your horn out and play when you're in a bad mood, because the music's always there for you. That's what Benny Green said. I went to one of his master classes. The music is always there for you. Your girlfriend might leave you, your dog might die, your parents might get mad at you, but music is always gonna be there for you when you pick up your horn. It's always there, even when you're not there for it. So I wish I could tell you that there was an easy fix, and I suppose it's a simple fix, but it's not easy, and that is to just let go and be okay with what happens, because Some of my best playing has occurred when I thought that I was playing my worst. And some of my worst playing has happened when I thought I was playing my best. So, who are you to know what your best is? Who are you to know what sounds good? Obviously, your taste is very important. Obviously, your sense of what you want to put out there is very important, but your mood can color any musical playing experience to the point that you don't even recognize what you're doing. You don't even perceive what you're putting out there. The ideal space, as lots of people have described, for playing music is this space of like non desire or non. It's like conscious but unconscious. It's detached but invested. It's like the universal state where you're just there to experience and enjoy and partake, but you don't carry judgment with that. And your playing will be so much better when you learn how to let go in that way. So if things aren't happening, it's okay that things aren't happening. It's okay if you lose a gig. It's okay if somebody fires you for sounding bad. It's okay for all of this to happen. There's this kind of question that I like to ask myself. This is not an original idea. It's a question I like to ask myself if I'm afraid of sounding bad or if I'm afraid of going down a road and things continually escalating. I like to ask myself, what's the worst that could happen? So I'm on a bandstand, I squeak a note, or I break my reed. Okay, what's the worst that could happen? Okay, in that scenario, if I break my reed, I don't have another one on stage with me. Okay. Well, first of all, you should never get yourself into that position. But second of all, okay, you don't have your reed. So you go out to your bag and you get one. You go off stage in the middle of the set while the piano player is taking a solo. Okay, that's great. So the owner gets a little upset with you. Well, what's the worst that could happen there? The owner doesn't hire you again. Well, okay, so the owner doesn't hire you again. You have to be okay with these things not working out. You have to be okay with things sucking. You have to be okay with that. Because if you resist them sucking, chances are it's going to start sucking in a bigger way than you could have imagined. Things will just start crashing and burning. The more you resist things, the more you run away from things in fear, the worse things are going to get, because you're putting out an invitation to the world. Hey, I'm afraid of this. Come take advantage of me, or something like that. I know this is getting really abstract, but this is kind of what's going on in my head, and I know it's a little scary sometimes, but what you put out into the world is so important, because you are communicating. You're sharing your vibrations with others. Your vibrations are literally affecting other people, whether they're emotional vibrations, whether they're sonic vibrations or physical vibrations. They're all linked. And when you are okay with being invested but detached, you will probably notice a huge shift in your playing. And I know this is really hard to do. It's really hard to do. I struggle with it every day, and it's something that I strive for. So I'm just sharing these things because they've helped me, and I would love to, it would be great if you got even a little bit of value out of this. So bottom line, if you're not feeling it, it's okay to not feel it. Try your best to let go. Even if you can't let go, take a big sigh. And these are things that you can practice. You can practice letting go in a less stressful environment. You can practice letting go when you're in a good mood, because it's a lot easier to start a new habit when you're in a good mood, and you're not trying to fight this tendency of yours to desperately cling on to needing to sound good or anything like that. So I think that's just about it for today. If I continue talking, I'm probably going to circle back to all the things that I've already said. I know I've probably already repeated myself. So if you got any value out of this video, please like this and subscribe to my channel. I am putting out a new video every day. If it's not an edited video, it's going to be a live stream video. So please, please, please come back for more. And I hope you have a great, whatever time of day it is for you. So I will see you next time. Goodbye.